irrigation is essential to establishing newly planted trees, and it's also going to be a critical component of maintaining tree health during our ongoing drought. Now, our main goal when we irrigate is to apply water slowly so that it can penetrate deep into the soil horizon. Many of the tree roots are at about a depth of between 8 and 12 inches or 6 to 12 inches. So we want to get the water thoroughly damp at that deeper level. And to do that, we apply water at a slow rate. While a drip irrigation system is perhaps the most efficient way of applying that water, not all of us have irrigation systems in the landscape, but there's several different methods we can use for our newly established trees, and some of these that I show will also be applicable to larger, well-established trees. So the simplest, most basic way is to just use a regular garden hose and set it around the base of your tree. Now with a small tree like this one, it's only about a 1-inch caliper. The root ball is fairly small. It's probably about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet at the most. So we want to make sure we're applying the water within that root ball area. We're just going to turn this hose on at a very slow trickle and let it stay there for probably about an hour to thoroughly saturate this. Now this is a good way to water if you have just 1, 2, maybe 3 trees in the landscape, but it can be rather cumbersome if you have multiple trees. Also, the hose is often forgotten and left on, and that's just simply a waste of water, or we can overwater our trees. So to avoid that, you might consider putting a timer on your spigot to turn that hose off after a given amount of time. Now another method we have is the trickle irrigation. Now you can see I've wound the soaker hose around the root ball, and this is nice when you have 2 or 3, 4 trees close together. You can weave that soaker hose for a long distance. Now one of the problems notorious to soaker hoses is that the water doesn't come out evenly along the length of the hose. So I've come up with a way to try to correct that problem, and by simply connecting both ends of the soaker hose to my garden hose. So here's my garden hose, and I have a Y splitter. And the way the soaker hose is designed, it's either designed to connect to another soaker hose or be capped at the end. So I had a problem of how do I connect that back to my Y adapter. And to solve that, you can find a coupler that has 2 female ends, and that allows you to connect the hose together. With this in place, the water will move through both directions of the hose and provide a more even distribution. There are a few methods we can use to apply drip irrigation to our trees without investing in the drip tape or hoses. And the simplest of these is to simply use a bucket, or you can use several milk jugs and drill a small hole in the bottom of the bucket, no larger than 1/4 inch. And that's going to allow the water to flow out very, very slowly. So you just place that at the base of your tree, fill the bucket up with water, and allow that water to trickle out slowly over time. Now a small diameter tree or small caliper tree such as this that has a 2-inch or smaller caliper is going to require 2 to 3 gallons of water every 4 to 5 days. Of course, the exact amount depends on the species. So we'll need to fill our bucket up 2 or 3 times a week to adequately irrigate our tree. There's a commercial product that actually does the same thing as our 5-gallon bucket, and that's called a gator bag, and it has a zipper. You can just wrap it around the trunk of your tree and zip it up. If you have a larger tree, you can get 2 gator bags and connect them together. And then there's an opening at the top, and we fill water in there. At the bottom, there's small slits that allow the water to trickle out slowly around the root ball. Now this is just one of several commercial products. You might see another variety that's more like a donut shape that lays on the ground around the tree base, but all of these work in the same general method. Now our larger trees in the landscape, like the pecans behind me, they also need irrigation during times of drought. They can really suffer through extensive periods of drought, and irrigating those can be a challenge because the root system of a mature tree extends 4 to 5 times beyond the canopy. That's a huge area to irrigate. But even irrigating a portion of that root structure well will really benefit the tree. Now typically those tree roots extend into our lawn areas, and when we irrigate our lawns, oftentimes we're not irrigating deep enough. So to effectively irrigate for the trees as well as the turf, adjust the flow rate to be lower, and irrigate for a longer period of time. Trees are a significant investment and add so much to the landscape. It's certainly worth the time and money to keep them well irrigated and healthy.